It's 4:30 p.m. here in Seoul. I'm Devin Whiting at the Arirang News Center, and we're breaking into our regular programming to bring you the latest briefing from the South Korean health authorities. That's beginning right now. Let's listen in.
First, we will hear from Mr. Son Young-rae on the measures against COVID-19. It is February 17th, and I'll start the regular briefing for today, Sunday. As of midnight of today, there were 326 newly confirmed cases in Korea, and there were 46 imported cases. Yesterday, 7 people passed away. We pay our respect to the deceased and our condolences to the family members. I will now update you on the developments for the past week. From January 31st to February 6th, on a daily average, there were 354.6 newly confirmed cases, and compared to 420 from the previous week, it was a decrease. Over the past 4 weeks, when we look at the daily average, it used to be 416 4 weeks ago. It decreased to around 380, and then it increased to 422, and it has decreased again to 354 on a daily average. For the regions, the metropolitan area has recorded 257.6, which is an increase from the previous week. And for the non-metropolitan area, it is 97, and it is actually a great decrease from around 148 from the previous week, and there has been a stabilization in all regions. For the reproduction level of the infection, it has decreased to around 0.8 2 weeks ago. However, this week and last week, we are seeing it decrease to at a level of around a point just below 1. And for the regional areas, we are seeing cluster outbreaks in sports facilities, saunas, and restaurants. So we are seeing the infection spreading across a lot of the daily places that we go to. Comprehensively, over the past week, we had seen a small increase in terms of third wave. However, this is not a great research. However, there still are risks of the reinfection. And for the non-metropolitan area, we are seeing that the trend is decreasing. However, the cluster outbreak is increasing in areas of metropolitan area, and there are some regional discrepancies, so we need to ask the citizens in the metropolitan area to be especially careful. We have said that the government will maintain the current level 2.5 of social distancing until the lunar holidays. And we have said that for the 9 p.m. restriction, we're going to increase it to 10 p.m. for the metropolitan area. Right now, we're seeing an accumulation in the tiredness of our civilian lifestyle, so we believe that these small business owners might be especially having a hard time. However, there are still risks of infection in the Lunar New Year holiday because there would be increase in movement, so this isn't an inevitable choice, and we hope that you will understand. We especially want to ask the people in the metropolitan area. Right now, we are not seeing a great stabilization or a clear one, so we want to ask you to refrain from moving in the Lunar New Year holiday period. And right now, we are seeing a stabilization in the non-metropolitan area, and we want to make sure that this continues throughout the Lunar New Year holiday. Now, we will provide you with the measures for the hypermarkets and the distribution centers. The government is closely monitoring the logistics centers, and also for department markets and the hypermarkets, we expect a lot of people to visit with the Lunar New Year holiday. And for the department stores, it is mandatory to wear a face mask, and we are not having the tasting corners or the trying out centers in the cosmetics areas so that people don't have to turn their face masks off. And also during entrance and exit, we are also checking for the body temperatures, and we are having close disease controls. And therefore, for the big distribution centers until February 14th, we're going to have site visits to monitor the disease control situation. In addition, we are also expecting the delivery to increase, and for such logistics, the local governments and the industrial bodies will come together to have site visits and site monitoring. In particular, we need to make sure that the delivery personnel who may be in contact with the consumers are closely monitored, and this will be inspected closely. This week we have the 4-day Lunar New Year holiday incorporated. This holiday is an important period, especially for COVID-19 this time around. And this time around, we are going to start the stepwise vaccination starting with the elderly and the ill. And we are also going to start our antibody treatments in earnest. With this Lunar New Year holiday period, we hope that we will be able to contain the third wave of COVID-19. And once we can do that, we will be able to stabilize the situation. And we believe that starting in springtime, we will be able to resume our normal lives. However, if we do not respond appropriately during this holiday, we may have to continue on with our painful social distancing, because we have to make sure that we contain it even in the future as well. So we want to ask you to especially understand the situation, and we want to ask our citizens to be the agent of disease control and be on top of it. In particular, for the citizens of metropolitan areas, we want to ask you once again. Right now, it is at a risky situation of another resurgence, so we want to ask you to refrain from having any gatherings, appointments, or going back home outside of Seoul. And we do understand that you might want to meet with your family members, your friends. However, that is especially more dangerous. The more people they meet, then there is an increase in infection, especially for the non-symptomatic infections as well. And we have to make sure that we are not infecting those around you as well, because that could be especially risky. So this Lunar New Year holiday, we want to ask you to pass on your greetings in a non-face-to-face manner. So it is more of a consideration for you to actually consider one another by not meeting one another. The government will also use all of its pan-governmental resources and work together closely with the local governments to stabilize this third wave of COVID-19 as soon as possible, and we're going to concentrate our efforts. Thank you.
네, 지금부터 질의응답 시간을 가지겠습니다. 브리핑은
And that'll conclude our coverage of this briefing. Thank you for watching. Arirang News will be back at 6 p.m. Korea time.
Lately, COVID-19 has been spreading through contact with family and friends. Preemptive testing is vital to prevent mass outbreaks. One member of each household is advised to get tested. This is necessary to detect infections among family members and find hidden asymptomatic cases in communities to prevent COVID-19 from spreading further. Anyone can get tested at temporary screening stations free of charge, regardless of symptoms. To speed up the procedure,